In part 1 of our Ren character catch-up video, I explained how I feel that Ren is a very complex character that seems to have the personality traits stemmed from what seems to be maybe some troubles in his childhood. I personally believe attachment theory psychology relates to Ren a whole lot. If you haven't seen part 1, be sure to check it out. Ren is by far one of the most developed characters in the series thus far. In both story and history, Ren brings up some very fascinating topics related to the story and even the conceptualizing of the series. These topics, I feel, really show just how deep the Shenmue rabbit hole of Mysterium truly goes. Footage of Ren dates back all the way to the Saturn-era of Shenmue, which we all know as Project Berkeley. I do not personally know what is the oldest art of Ren, but let's go far back into the past and start from where it seems to be the preliminary and fundamental artwork for Ren. From the early days of Ren's conceptualization, we see a familiar character in front of us. From what we can tell, Ren seems to have kept the same look and maybe even role in the overall story within Shenmue. We see him with his bandana reminiscent of Akira Yuki from Virtua Fighter. Keep that in mind for now. Let's take a quick peek at a few artworks that contain Ren in the pre-Dreamcast era of Shenmue.
名前は宮脇健二と申します。セガの AM2 弦の頃にシェンムーのメインのキャラクターデザインとしてシェンファなどのイラストを描いておりました。初めてセガに来る時にはまだ機密保持契約みたいなものがありましたので、ゲームっていうものの内容は全然詳しくは聞いてなかったんですね。で、僕はその頃漫画専門の本屋でアルバイトしてまして、漫画家を目指して頑張っていたっていう時代でしたけれども、その時にちょっと知り合いから連絡がありまして、ゲームの絵を描いてみないかと言われました。その時は何のゲームか分からなかったんで、どんなゲームですかって聞いたら、詳しくは言えないけど、なんか中国っぽいゲームらしいよと、それだけしか言われなかったんですね。で、実際に行ってみたところ、どんなことをするかといったら、まだゲームを作る前のシナリオ会議みたいなところに放り込まれまして、で、周りはもう本当にセガのディレクターさんとかそれぞれのチームのリーダーさんとかが集まってる現場だったんですけれども、そこで話し合われるシナリオの内容を、イメージを簡単に描いてくれる、いわゆるなんかもう即興で絵描いてくれる絵描きさんが欲しかったということで呼ばれました。1ヶ月か2ヶ月ぐらいで終わりになる仕事かななんて思いながら描いてたんですけれども、そんな時にシナリオの時にはチベットを主人公が旅をするっていうところがありまして、そこで出会うチベットの少女と一緒に旅をするシーンが。
You know, one thing I've come to realize about how Shenmue was created from a character perspective is that Yu Suzuki and his team had a good idea of who the main characters would be from the get-go. We see this with Ryo, Shenhua, Guizhong, Longsung Zhao, Wuying, and of course, Ren, among others who we might not have met yet, like Mingming. Oh god, I cannot wait for Mingming to show up in the games. So what does this mean? Well, I think it means that maybe these specific characters are meant to be seen throughout most of the series, hence why they were prioritized this early in development. This idea alone, and the artwork of Ren in particular, maybe even show us a glimpse of where the story may be going. So let's take a brief look into that. Okay guys, so I must warn you, from here on, the following portion of this video is dedicated to cracking the story of the later Shenmue games. Now, like I have said before in my videos, a few of us out there put our minds together and really dove into the lore and mythology of Shenmue, and we think we might have even cracked open what the story will eventually be about. Now, I stand by my word that I will never make a video on that in particular until Shenmue is completed. However, for this video, I may very vaguely dive just a tiny bit into the theory points that may lead someone in this theory direction. Now remember, this is just a theory, not fact. However, if you don't want potential spoilers, then I suggest you do not watch this part of the video and merely skip to this time code you see on screen. Okay, still here? Let's get into hardcore Shenmue mode. It seems that from the beginning, Ren was meant to be some sort of a bad dude turned friend. That we can see because it seems that in the Saturn build of Shenmue, the event of meeting Ren seems to be the same, and you also see Ryo walking with him just like in the Dreamcast release, and subsequent ports of the games. So I feel that Ren was always meant to play out like he did, thus setting the stage for for the later events of the series involving him. For these later events, we can take a look at a few concept arts and also the chapter tiles shown by Yu Suzuki at the Game Developers Conference back in 2014.
これ初公開みたいな感じですけど、小別に描いた実際のチャプターイメージになります。
That was a really exciting conference, by the way. As a Shenmue fan, seeing those chapter tiles was absolutely fascinating, and really opened our minds to a lot of things that we might have not noticed before about the Shenmue games. One particular concept art that comes to mind is this one, the art in which we can see Ren riding on a horse. This art was also recreated as a fan art. Well, one thing is certain, we wouldn't be riding a horse in the locations in Hong Kong. Too much city life to look like the fields that seem to be shown here. So this must be mainland China. Now, by the end of Shenmue 2, we do not see Ren, so this must take place after the events of Shenmue 2, assuming the storyline has remained the same since this concept art was created. We do know for sure Ren is in Shenmue 3, so maybe this horse scene is a part of him and Ryo adventuring to a future location. Honestly, after thinking really hard about this, I'm going to make a bet and call it now and say that this is them riding to Xi'an, or whatever Shenmue 4 or 5's location is that is based on Xi'an. Why do I mention Xi'an specifically? Well, that I won't go into detail on in this video. I'll leave that for you guys to discover on your own. So let's keep this in mind. It seems that Ren is going to adventure pretty deeply into the countryside of China later in the story, from what we know about regarding Shenmue 3. Just a little side note, I would love to see Ren's commentary on these kinds of environments, because I feel Ren is a very snarky person, so I think his perspective would be interesting.
The hell is that?
So, the character perspective system of Shenmue 3 should really be interesting if it dives into, you know, the characters' commentaries. So aside from this concept art, as I said before, the GDC chapter tiles are super interesting. So let's venture into those chapter tiles. The tiles that I'm interested are as follows. Taking a brief look at these tiles, we can see that they may proclaim a little bit of story regarding the future Shenmue games. In the second chapter tile and the third chapter tile, we can clearly see Ren with Ryo. Now it seems that the second chapter tile is definitely tied to the events of Shenmue 2, because it seems that these are the characters that you would normally meet in Shenmue 2, with a few exceptions. I feel that there's some characters there we might not have seen yet. And in the third chapter tile, we can see Ren and Ryo. Ryo now in his what seems to be traditional, I'm gonna say Baji Quan outfit here. Now, some people who may understand Chinese martial arts much better than I do can probably proclaim what the outfit is actually directly connected to. However, I'm going to say it's probably Baji Quan. And what's going on in this chapter tile, I have no idea. Going more towards the future of the storyline, particularly the 9th and 10th chapter tile. In the 9th chapter tile, we seem to see Ryo either training or fighting, and we see what looks to be Ren in the background also in a different outfit. And in the next chapter tile, we see Ryo holding someone and now wearing a bandana. And is it possible that maybe that's actually Ren's bandana that he's using as a headband? Now, just a quick note, Shenmue used to be the RPG retelling of the Virtua Fighter series. It was originally conceptualized as Virtua Fighter RPG, and these chapter tiles are related to VFRPG and not necessarily Shenmue in its final form. So this could have easily been the origin story of how Akira got his headband, but if we relate it to Shenmue, maybe that's Ren's bandana. So how do these tiles connect? Well, honestly, I feel like I want to keep that a secret, because going into super detail on these tiles may potentially lead to story theories that I feel could actually be real canon spoilers for future storylines, and that is just not something I could bring myself to do. So for now, I suggest you take a look and use your imagination to think about all the intense topics that could arise from these. And so we've reached the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. The best part is that I wrote all of this off the top of my head. It amazes me how much of this game remains in my memory. That just goes to show how powerful Shenmue is to its fans. And that's really a concept that I love to drive at the end of these videos. Shenmue is such an important game that you could just talk about it for days and days, and you always find new concepts and new things to talk about, whether that's regarding the story, the gameplay, and the history it holds within the game industry itself, and how much it has pioneered so many things that we know to be the norm today in open world games. And it's always been a personal journey for me, and a journey that I intend to continue on forever. And as always, thanks for watching.